here. I love that we have the picnic, and it's sort of a great way for everyone to come together and then step aside. We can send the kids all sugared up out to room 3. And before we begin, I just want to kind of give you a preview of how I was hoping this night would unfold, because if I'm up here for an hour talking, no one will walk away happy, including me. And so my hope for this evening's talk is I'm going to talk for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And then really what I'd like to kind of open it up to is more of a town hall kind of style meeting. And that's why I have some of my colleagues up here, and where we can kind of speak more specifically about certain age ranges and age groups, and the importance of resilience for our young children, and why maybe we're seeing a lack thereof nowadays. Okay, so there'll be plenty of time for questions and discussion. That's what I'm hoping for. I got a new little toy. I got a remote and everything. All right, so let's begin. So first off, are any of these pictures familiar to you? Everybody else is good. Everybody else is good. Right? And maybe we're starting to see some of these kinds of pictures more often than we used to, right? Bigger, more frequent tantrums from our littlest ones. You know, I remember the times when I had little ones, and I definitely had to do the potato sack carry out of Target because they didn't get the thing that they wanted. More reactive anger responses and non-compliance from our younger children, and maybe even higher levels of anxiety and fear that's making our adolescents seem almost paralyzed at times. I've experienced all of these things with my children. I have a 22-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 7-year-old. A little preface before I move forward. I will be talking about parenting and parenting choices, and the last thing I want it to feel like is a finger wag. I am here to tell you that every single thing that I'm going to talk about, every mistake that I identify, are things that I have made myself and continue to make. We are all a work in progress, and it's really more than anything a cautionary tale of my parenting over the years. But I just want that to kind of be known, so that way I don't want you to feel like I'm doing this, because that's not what we're here to do. So my question, when I came up with this, last year, we had a big push, kind of a campaign surrounding attendance, and we were really able to move the needle. It was fantastic. And we went through some really hard times last year. So if you were part of our community last year, you know that we really endured some very hard things. And we were able to move through them. On the other hand, when it came to smaller things, I was starting to notice a lack of resilience in our children. And some of it was driven by the habits of the children themselves. Some of it was maybe perhaps a little bit more permissiveness, or not wanting to subject our children to adversity on the part of the parents. And I was thinking, okay, well, if we're able to move the needle for our attendance, maybe we were able to move the needle when it comes to doing hard things with our children. So my question that I really asked myself before I kind of dove into research was, are kids today truly less resilient than their counterparts from previous generations, or am I just being a curmudgeon saying kids today, they don't understand how good they have it? And what I found, so are children today truly less resilient? And in the words of my friend Phineas, yes they are. Now you might wonder, why at a Waldorf school am I bringing a character from media? Well, it's one of the few characters that I really enjoy, because, in my opinion, someone like Phineas, who knows this lovely character, to me, he is the picture of resilience. He and his brother Ferb, they do all kinds of wonderful things. They're not subject to their own boredom, and they don't just give up. They're completely wrapped up in whatever projects they have. They don't turn into technology to cure their boredom. They're not afraid to fail. They see adversity as an opportunity to learn more and to improve, and heck, they even built a water park in their backyard, right? So this is sort of my picture of resiliency. So if I'm making the statement that children are less resilient today than their counterparts were, say, in previous generations, millennials, Gen Xers, boomers even, why is that? Well, before we can even tackle that question of why are kids less resilient, we have to first answer a different question, which is, why is resilience so important for children to learn in the first place? Why? We often try to, our children are these little ducklings that we're trying to, to shuttle from one place to the next and make sure they get there safely. That's our job. parents and caregivers. But here's why it's important. I edited my slideshow today because I had an experience with my 7-year-old about doing a hard thing over this weekend. So this last weekend, my wife and my son and I went to go visit my daughter who recently moved to Santa Cruz, and we took that opportunity to take everyone to the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. My son has never been on a roller coaster before. And he was like, I think I want to go on a roller coaster. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, I think I'm ready. I want to check out a roller coaster. So, this was him at the beginning of the roller coaster. It gets so much better. He is excited. He is ready. And my wife was so jacked that she was sitting next to him on his first roller coaster. So, and in case you can't see, I zoomed in. Now, I put this up here because he walked away totally frustrated and angry, and he said, why did you make me do this? I never want to do this again. And we said, you don't have to. You don't ever have to do it again. But you did it. You did the hard thing, and I'm proud of you. And aside from like just kind of wiping himself dry and realizing like, okay, I'm still alive, we had the best time that day. We still went on other rides, we played games, we ate horrible food, and it was the best day ever. And so he didn't break. He moved through that difficulty, and I was so proud of him because he is one of those kids that can be very timid, is not very apt to try new things, and he did it, even if it wasn't entirely successful. So resilient children. I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of digging into what are sort of the common qualities and traits of resilient children. Why is resiliency so important for our children these days? Well, first and foremost, resilient children can experience challenges and learn to deal with them positively. They can look back at challenges and see the value in the experience rather than as a source of ongoing torment. So in this case with my son, he was like, man, I don't think I want to do that anymore. And we were like, that's okay. And you did it. You can go back to school and say, guys, I rode the giant tipper. It sucked. It was so scary. Resilient children can recover from setbacks and get back to living life. They learn how to move on. So the children are bouncy. They're much more flexible than we give them credit for. And so when they do these hard things, even if they're not 100% successful, there's reason to celebrate. Resilient children have the foundation to build and maintain stronger relationships. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, about how technology has affected the interpersonal workings of our young people and how it's kind of stunted their emotional growth and their willingness and ability to navigate interpersonal challenges and making them less resilient. And lastly, resilient children become resilient adults, and that's really what we're hoping for them. They're not always going to be under our wings. So you might want, now we can get into the why. Why? What are the key reasons that our children are lacking resilience these days? And I was able to kind of boil it down to two things. In all the literature I read, I found 3-4 different themes, but what they all had in common were these two. And since I'm short on time and I don't want to kind of blather on, I want to focus on just these two reasons. The first one is technology. Now, before I dig deep into technology, I need you to know that I am not what you call a purist. I have a television in my home. I actually like video games. But if anything Waldorf education has taught me is the importance of temperance, monitoring, and how technology can be a crutch for our children. These are images that I know I've seen in my household. Time to put it down. Time to turn it off. Just one more. Nope. Now you might ask, how is this reliance on technology and resilience connected? The way children interact with the world has fundamentally changed. Now, in my case, I want to talk mostly about social media. I'm not talking about watching TV. Yeah, they watch too much TV. I'm not really talking about playing video games except for in a social setting, so online with their friends in their ears. they're so connected to their social media, and that's how they're conducting the majority of their relationships. Now, I'm not anti-social media. I have my own social media pages. But nowadays, children have fewer opportunities to engage in unstructured play and exploration, which leads to stunted interpersonal communication skills. When we did that walkthrough with the PIM yesterday, and I made some sort of comment about, you said that there were all these healthy playthings or wonderful play. And what I saw was just amazing children playing, doing the things that children are supposed to be doing. They were working, they were talking, they were digging, they were imagining. They were doing all the things that children are supposed to do, and they were growing their physical bodies and also growing their resilience through communication. They were raking. They were doing an awesome job raking. Holy cow. They were stomping the bucket. It's great. And slower development of creativity, imagination, and real-world problem-solving skills. They're too used to, I lose and I reset and I do the thing again until I get the thing that I want, and they're used to immediate gratification. Which leads to reduced social connections. Today's children are less likely to have close relationships with extended family members, even neighbors or community members. Oops.